If you do not skip the entire video, you can now get the important information. If you like the video, please like and comment. Share more important information with others. Rosemary increases your memory. The rosemary is an aromatic bush with scientific name Rosmarinus officinalis, having needle-shaped leaves dark and whitish-green on the underside. The stems are erect and branched. It grows spontaneously in the Mediterranean thickets along with other plants such as thyme, lavender, and jarrahs. As an evergreen shrub, it is always preserved green and has a small flower and blue or violet lipstick. It gives off a strong fragrance for the essential oils that have leaves and flowers. That is why its flavor is very suitable for broths, meats, potatoes, chicken, sauces, and dressings. Rosemary in health, an ancient symbol of fidelity and eternal life, for its ever-dark green leaves, it is a noble plant with many traditional uses and extensive health benefits. Greek students wore rosemary necklaces to the exam room to improve memory and concentration. Minerva, the Greek goddess of knowledge, is associated with rosemary. In China, rosemary tea, a simple infusion of the leaves, with or without flowers, is a traditional remedy for headache, fatigue, and insomnia. In Europe, also in infusion, it has been used to improve health by relieving cold, flu, gas and indigestion, depression, arthritis, muscle pain, and cramps. Rosemary infusion was also used as a mouthwash or to wash hair. The shampoo rosemary was recommended to combat dandruff and hair loss. The branch can also be used to perfume and disinfect the air next to branches of juniper, as was done in hospitals and health care centers during World War II. Rosemary contains compounds that counteract certain carcinogens such as acrylamide found in roasted coffee. It has stimulating and tonic properties of the digestive organs and is a great help to improve digestion, especially for its effects on the liver. Avoiding the appearance of symptoms such as swelling, slow digestion, reflux, and heartburn. To benefit from its qualities, as a digestive should be taken after meals, infused 1 teaspoon of dried plant per cup of water. Let stand with lid 5 minutes and it can be served. Due to its bacteriostatic properties, rosemary infusions also help fight tooth decay and bacteria responsible for bad breath, halitosis. Less than due to its anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties, it is suitable for people with intestinal disorders and bowel diseases such as Crohn, colitis, irritable bowel, constipation, diarrhea or intestinal flora problems. The dried leaves or branches of rosemary can be used as padding in the garden to repel insects. It is suitable for people with intestinal disorders and bowel diseases such as Crohn's disease, colitis, irritable bowel, constipation, diarrhea or intestinal flora problems. The dried leaves or branches of rosemary can be used as padding in the garden to repel insects. It is suitable for people with intestinal disorders and bowel diseases such as Crohn's disease, colitis, irritable bowel, constipation, diarrhea or intestinal flora problems. The dried leaves or branches of rosemary can be used as padding in the garden to repel insects. Collection and conservation of rosemary. It is recommended to grow rosemary at home from wild plant cuttings because they are richer in petrochemicals than garden rosemary varieties. In the case of collecting the wild plant, it is recommended to do it during spring and summer, which are the 2 seasons in which we must collect the leaves and flowers of rosemary. These should be dried in the shade and stored in a dry and dark place. The dried leaves are then placed in a tightly closed glass or glass container to collect moisture and light. It can also be purchased at the herbalist, market or specialty food store, where in addition to being able to get it easily, you will benefit from hygienic measures and proper packaging for optimal preservation. The rosemary to lose weight. Rosemary is a plant with great potential for weight loss. Its properties help lower cholesterol, triglyceride levels and uric acid. It helps improve the circulation and health of the body. It has powerful anti-inflammatory, hypotension, diuretic, hypoglycemic, anticoagulant, hepatoprotective and tonic properties of the liver. The consumption of rosemary reduces the levels of blood inflammation markers that appear in people with obesity, thanks to carnosolic and rosmaric acids, in addition to flavonoids and their high potassium content. Rosemary in the kitchen. Adding rosemary to the diet provides an excellent flavor and is also highly nutritious due to its contribution to potassium, calcium, and antioxidants. Aromatic herbs and spices, although they do not appear in the food pyramid, are a fabulous diet component to improve health. The taste of rosemary is suitable for broths, meats, potatoes, chicken, sauces, and dressings, to which it adds a note that brings us back to the countryside and natural landscapes. Collection and conservation of rosemary. It is recommended to grow rosemary at home from wild plant cuttings because they are richer in petrochemicals than garden rosemary varieties. To sow rosemary, simply cut a branch about 15 centimeters long and bury it, leaving 2/3 under the ground. Care must be taken so that the sun does not give it directly, and carefully irrigated without overdoing it, as it is a Mediterranean wild dryland plant. It will start to grow vigorously after 6 months. In the case of collecting the wild plant, it is recommended to do it during spring and summer, which are the 2 seasons in which we must collect the leaves and flowers of rosemary. These should be dried in the shade and stored in a dry and dark place. The dried leaves are then placed in a tightly closed glass or glass container to collect moisture and light. It must be remembered that in each autonomous community of Spain it is more or less prohibited to collect wild plants from natural lands whose owner is one or another administration. There is no specific legislation that determines what and how much can be taken from the mountain or field, but there is a list of species and categories of endangered species, which includes flora and fauna and marks their level of protection. In Spain, we enjoy 19 environmental laws, one for each autonomous community, basic state legislation and binding legislation from the EU. The control of the action of the human being on the natural environment corresponds to the agents of the natural environment, the guardians dependent on the autonomous communities, private guards of private preserves, and the Nature Protection Service (SEPRONA) of the Civil Guard. The sanctions that may apply to you vary depending on where, how, when and who sanctions you, but they can be of a considerable economic amount. Please subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon to get the next update.